begin by asking both of you guys, how familiar were you with the Alex Cross world, with James Patterson's books, and obviously I would imagine you saw the Morgan Freeman movies, but how familiar were you when you guys began this?
I had read a bunch of the books over the years, so I certainly knew enough about the character. I'd seen the films, but when I got the script from Rob, the first thing he told me is like, look, we're going to take the Alex Cross character, but we're kind of pulling him out of the procedural stories and going to drop him down into sort of a little bit more of an action thriller. We've introduced a character that doesn't exist in the books, the character that I played, Tommy Kane, introducing another character that Rachel played that wasn't in the book. So we knew that we were sort of like creating a new origin story, I guess. And that gives you a license to play. And the fact that James Patterson gave the film and the script his stamp of approval, I think everybody felt like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, and he was there on set with you guys too, right? How does that sort of help to add to the tone of, that he's set in these books and add to that in these movies?
I think just what you said, just having his presence there, he wasn't going to talk to the actors about sort of what we're doing and decisions we're making as actors, but he certainly spent a lot of time with Rob, and they would go over, making sure that, Cross stays true to James's, vision, but also giving Rob license to sort of, let's say, amp it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and tell me about working with Tyler.
We've obviously been fielding a lot of questions about working with Tyler, and he has this presence. I mean, even on paper, he's an extremely impressive individual, and then you meet him, and he is so tall, and he's got these great eyes, and he's one of those people that you shake your hand, you look in his eye, and it's this really he's this sort of gentle giant in many ways, and working with him was fantastic. I mean, I was familiar with Medea, obviously, and knew as soon as I met him that he was going to knock it out of the park as far as playing Alex Cross is concerned. But I think, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think anybody who was already a fan of his will continue to be a fan, and this movie will just open up an entirely new world of people that will become fans because of his portrayal of Alex Cross.
Yeah, well, and Ed, as an actor-director yourself, working with Tyler, who's made such a great career directing and acting in those films, could you kind of tell that maybe he was a little nervous just acting in this one, or what was it like for you working with him?
I know, our very first day when we met, that's immediately what we bonded over. The fact that, we're both writer-director actors, I've been acting for other people for, a couple of years now. This was the first time he was really doing it. And we just kind of joked around about, the major difference is you're not the guy in charge on the set. You're not calling the shots. You don't know why. After lunch, they've decided not to shoot this scene, and instead we're moving on to this scene. And we just talked about, when you are an actor for hire, you have to just embrace that role. But it also gives you an opportunity to spend more time on the acting, which I know he absolutely appreciated having, especially on some of the days where he had some tough work to do, both from sort of the physical action standpoint. But he's got a couple of very emotional scenes as well. Yeah. And also, we ended up having a little competition, who could finish a screenplay by the time we finished the film. Because, when you're shooting action, you have a lot of downtime.
And he encouraged you to revisit the Brothers McMullen, right?
He encouraged me to revisit that, so I'm working on a sequel to that, and he told me I need to go back and write another film about, sort of an Irish-American working-class family. So that was the film I was writing while we were shooting, and that film is The Fitzgerald's Family Christmas, which comes out November 21st. So
that's great. Right. Well, finally, Rachel, I'll just ask you a little bit about your characters. You guys play cops that are also in a romantic relationship with each other. What was that like? Talk a little bit about those characters.
Tommy and Monica are in this relationship, and obviously we're on the same team, and we're Detroit cops, and as anyone would probably assume, it's not exactly encouraged, and it's actually sort of prohibited for us to be in a relationship, because in the heat of the moment, if you're romantically involved with someone who's on your team, you may make the wrong decision for what feels like the right reason. And so, we've kept it a secret from everybody else in the department. Nobody else knows. But we both know that Alex, Dr. Alex Cross, given who he is and what he does, he knows what's going on, and he's going to call us on it, and there are going to be some really hard decisions to make. Now, the decisions end up being made for us in a way that I don't think most people would expect. But it was definitely interesting to play that, we pretend to hate each other at work, even though, we're sleeping in each other's houses every night.